Welcome to Get the Intel, presented by VAs for Construction. This podcast is your go-to for straightforward advice and stories from the construction industry. Join us as we talk with contractors who share their experiences and experts who offer practical tools and techniques to help your business run smoother. Whether you're looking to solve a problem or simply seeking inspiration, we're here to help you manage your work and enjoy life. Tune in for insights that matter to you.
Hello, Chad Gill here. I am the host of the Get the Intel podcast, where I talk with leaders in contracting, management, and anyone helping us do business better. This episode is brought to you by VAs for Construction. VAs for Construction provides tailored support personnel for construction contractors. Whether it's project admins, estimator support, or executive assistants, leveraging remote personnel can keep your team doing what they love while getting the data you need. So visit us at construction.com to see how we can free up capacity within your team. So joining me today is James Benham. He's the co-founder and CEO of JBKnowledge, a multinational tech company. He bootstrapped from his college dorm to over 280 employees across 3 continents. James has been at the forefront of innovation, leading JBKnowledge to develop industry-leading software for the world's largest insurance companies. He's also the co-founder of Terra, cutting-edge claims management software, transforming the property and casualty insurance space. Beyond his work in tech, James is a best-selling author, host of the popular InsurTech Geek Podcast, and a sought-after speaker who's taken the stage at over 400 conferences, including TEDx. So basically, he's just a lot better at a lot of things than I am. So thanks, James, for coming on the show, man.
That's not how I describe it, but we're both in the hustle and grind. But thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
That's awesome, man. That is quite the broad scope of things there. So went from software and construction to insurance and claims management. How does that trail lead?
Bootstrapped entrepreneur, you go after the opportunities that are presented to you, and sometimes you have to pivot and rethink your plan. And we've when we co-founded this company, when Sebastian and I and my dad got started in 2001, we just wanted to build enterprise software for small to medium enterprise, and worked in a bunch of different industries. A lot. I mean, probably 12 or 13 different industries that we built custom software for, small projects when you're that small of a company. And, in 2004, a friend of mine, he was an M&A guy, acquired an insurance company, and we started building software for the company he acquired, and really found a wonderful market to go after that was way better than the other things that we were working on. And so that was the beginning of our foray into insurance. It was really around insurance inspection. And so that was good. And then 2 years later, a friend of my father's came to me and said, "Hey, your dad mentioned you built some bidding software." And I said, "Yeah, we built it for printing companies." He goes, "Well, let me see it." So we showed it to him. He said, "That would work for general contractors." And I'm like, "Really?" I said, "I don't know anything about construction." He said, "Well, let me introduce you to your first client." And so he introduced me to a great GC in Baton Rouge, my hometown of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, called MAP Construction. And MAP looked at our product and said, "Hey, if you make, these list of changes, we'll try it out in our Dallas office."
Wow. And
so we went live, now meanwhile, we're building software for insurance, custom software for insurance, but we had tried 5 different products, and they just hadn't taken, or four or 5, whatever it was. And when we put together SmartBid, and we went live in Dallas, they loved it. They didn't like it. They loved it. And it was 18 years ago, it was an early player in the online, invitation to bid, plan distribution, sub-management, and pre-qualification space. We weren't the first one by any means. BidFax was kind of the granddaddy of all of them. And then I Square Foot bought BidFax, and then there were some other players, but it was a good enough market. We went after it, and for 12 years, we built a pretty solid construction bidding system. We had about 1,200 paid enterprise GCs, and then we had about 250,000 subs using it, 10,000 projects a week bidding through it, all over the world, from Hong Kong to London to Dubai, all over the United States, all over Canada. And so we really learned a lot and ended up building a construction technology consulting practice ended up building a construction technology podcast called Content Crew, and then an annual, we did for 10 years, we did an annual construction technology report that became very popular. And anyway, when we sold SmartBid, we ended up selling off the other assets as well and focused the whole enterprise on construction. And that's what we're doing today. We, when we sold SmartBid, we were allowed to keep about 95% of the employees, and so we pivoted them into building a totally new product called Terra.
Wow!
And now we're entirely in the insurance tech space and have built a really nice suite of policy and claims software for workers' compensation organizations. It ends up a lot of builders groups run a work comp risk pool. And so we've ended up right back servicing construction. It's so funny. It's not the only audience we serve, but when you look at high risk industries that have higher work comp premiums and, tend to form self-insured groups, contractors are on there. So what do you know? The very first clients out of the gate, some of them were construction groups. That's what we do. Software, bootstrapped, no investors, no debt. And we build custom software for insurance. We build claims and policy software, off the shelf software, two different companies. I'm the CEO of both of them. And, I'm also on the board of Texas Southern University. Governor Abbott appointed me to that in 2020. And before that, I was a city councilman and mayor pro tem of College Station, Texas. And was an adjunct professor at Texas A&M for 5 years, teaching technology in the construction science department, and have also taught in the business school. And I just had a lot of different hats, but it's all everything for me is around technology.
So our target audience obviously is contractors and constructors. When you're in here, and you're talking about workman's comp and a workman's comp pool and stuff like that. Kind of explain what that is and why it would be appealing to a contractor.
Well, it depends on what your work comp premiums are. Remember that when you pay premiums to a carrier, they have a profit margin. And when you have a hard market in insurance, that means rates are going up. Now, work comp rates in aggregate are going down right now. Property and auto rates are going up. It's a hard market on property and auto. So, but very often, if you get a group of similar companies, and you get to be really good at loss control and loss prevention, safety training, preventing big accidents, then you can pool your money together and have essentially your own insurance company in the form of a self-insured group or a self-insured fund or a captive. It just depends on if it's multi-state or not, or multinational or not. And the neat thing is, at the end of the year, they take all the profits and they cut a check back to the members of the SIG for the profits. Whereas that would have gone to the shareholders of the insurance company. So that number could be pretty big. If it's a very safe program and the members are running good safety programs, then the really cool thing is that the members get a lot of money back, and construction companies love that. So a lot of the state home builders associations have their own workers' compensation self-insured group that a lot of the home builders will participate in for their work on.
Yeah, when you're playing with your own money, you probably tend to lean towards emphasizing safety more than when you're like, well, my insurance will cover me. I mean, I don't think any of us think that, but certainly whenever it's your own dime, it's a big difference.
When you get a big check at the end of the year, it's pretty big incentive to be safe. You're gonna ask, then what the heck do? We build the policy and claim software that runs the SIG.
Okay. And that manages the claims that come in and all the support structure and everything from that?
And manages the policies and how much everybody pays, what the rating is, underwriting, does everything.
How do you control workman's comp? Like, how do you hear stories about workman's comp getting taken advantage of and things like that. I mean, is that part of yours, is the risk aversion, kind of to help both before to keep one for a claim from happening and then manage a claim once it is happening, or what?
Yeah. I mean, you can deploy a lot of technology to prevent claims. And a lot of people and process, right? You can hire safety managers. You can implement processes that help ensure a safer workforce. You implement obviously a lot of training and toolbox talks, and there's a lot of steps you can take for all this. Outside of that, and you can also adopt a lot of technology. And
what kind of technology?
If you're looking at And it depends on your definition of technology. So we can have an expansive list of technology and say, hey, we're going to have really good tethering systems to make sure that all of our workers are properly tethered. Hey, we're going to put tracking on. There are some lift and motion sensors that you can put on employees to see if they're lifting and carrying and operating and squatting and stepping up correctly, so that you can then go and coach them and help them not get injured in their knee or their ankle or their back by performing a bad lift or by jumping off of a truck tailgate. So there's also a lot of technology in the claim itself once the bad thing has happened to make sure that you have the appropriate amount of oversight over the claimant, and over the medical process to ensure that the worker gets back to work quickly. They actually heal and get better and don't get permanently injured and then depressed. A lot of bad things happen when people get permanently injured. They get deeply depressed, and it's not healthy for the vast majority of workers. So you can deploy technology throughout that entire process, both to prevent the claim from ever happening, but then to manage the claim really well once it does.
So if you're a contractor, you're like, man, that's great, but I just can't afford it. I mean, and I know that the normal answer is you can't afford not to. But like, how do you do things that are going to that are going to save enough money to pay for the extensive training? I mean, these things are all time, and it's all coming out of a tight budget.
It is, yeah. I mean, safety training. I don't even think that's an option, right? I mean, a single fatality from a worker falling because they're not properly tethered, that can cost you, the company, $50 million. At least you can have an insurance claim for $50 million. Let's say your retention limit's $250,000. Those are really expensive mistakes to have, really expensive mistakes to have. So I don't think there's a choice. But to really have a big focus on safety and health, because the consequences on claims are pretty severe. A single slip, trip, and fall can cost you $100,000.
It is daunting for sure. I mean, it's one of those things you look at and you're like, man, I hope I never have to learn this lesson, because it's a painful one.
Yeah.
Then when you do have it, I mean, you want to have your people supported, you want them to get healthy, and you want them to get back to work, and to do those kinds of things as well. Do you see a lot of overlap between what you're doing now and the bidding software and the construction software and the custom software? Like, is it just changing the names and labels, or is there a lot of synergy between?
No, I mean, Terra was a completely ground up scratch build. We're trying to approach the workers' compensation market really differently. We want to radically improve the amount of time it takes to deal with a claim, right? And we want to radically improve the outcome for the claimant. So to do that, we had to start from scratch. There's no copy and paste. There's no cut and fill. There's none of that. It was a lot of work. It still is a lot of work. Professional services is a separate company, separate people, separate teams. They're there to deliver value to their customer and build great bespoke custom technology solutions in-house. Our product division, different company, doesn't intermingle with the service team. So it's really a very, very ferocious effort to build product now, especially product as big as this. This runs the entire insurance organization. So there's a lot of considerations to take into place.
Your customer is the association or the builders group?
Association. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like there's restaurant associations, home builders associations, construction associations that include commercial and residential. And they typically, you have auto dealer association, nursing home associations. These groups will typically start as an actual trade group, advocacy group, but they'll also have an insurance pool where they'll pool all their risk, and they'll share the reward at the end of the year. So that's why so many home builders and commercial builders participate in risk pools, because there's a lot of money to be made back at the end of the year.
Is there an insurance, like a super high deductible, that backs these things afterwards, or is it
reinsurance? Yeah, you'd have reinsurance. So one of the biggest backers of a lot of these programs is Safety National. One of my other clients, actually, Safety National. And Safety's a multi-billion-dollar company. I want to say they're $2.5 to $3 billion company, and they provide the high retention, the high limit, or the reinsurance. They take care of the big stuff. If a claim gets really big, they come and take care of the big part of it.
Okay, but that rate is obviously enough, and then the margin between their rate and the rate you can put in the group would be your profit.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. With kind of oversimplifying it. Yes.
What do you see as like what are the most common claims that come out of construction companies?
Ladder injuries are number one.
Really?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Just falling off a ladder or the ladder?
Yep. Screwing up ladders. Yep.
Wow.
The best thing you can train people on is how to use a ladder properly.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of injuries on ladders.
That's funny. I would not have been. That's a lot of dangerous work out there, but I guess the ladder is one of the ones you just
ladders. The falls are bad. A lot of bad things happen when they're not used properly, assembled properly, set properly, not spot. I mean, there's a lot to do. There's an entire training. Like one of the risk groups I recently visited with has an entire training center just for ladder training. It's that big of a deal. Yeah, it's their number one claim cause. So they train the hell out of it.
Oh my gosh.
On ladder utilization. It's a big deal. Yeah. I mean, not just that, like you have a lot of slip, trip, and falls. People running on job sites, tripping and falling, hitting things. There's things getting dropped on people. The big extreme cases, like where you have, worker fatalities because they fall off. I mean, that's a lot more rare.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully. But
thankfully we have so, again, technology has played a heavy role in this, but not software technology. Technology includes any kind of tool that's built by a human that is a technological advantage, right? So there's a lot of technology around harnesses and tethers, around PPE, hard hats, gloves, glasses, all of those things prevent serious accidents. And, they're mandated. And now there's a plethora of technology that uses AI to peel through photos and videos from the job sites and look for people not wearing it. Because that's a, very dangerous thing.
What do you hear about where if you're not wearing PPE or you're not wearing it properly and you get injured, then your claim can be denied? Is that accurate?
Yeah, it just depends on how the policy is written, but you're required to have PPE on. OSHA requires it too, right? Mm-hmm. So you have OSHA regs, but then you also have your insurance regs. Look, I'm a pilot. I fly airplanes. It's the same damn thing. The FAA governs aviation, but aviation insurance carriers really run it.
Yeah.
Because they have a much stricter set of requirements on what you can fly and when. So I'd say that the markets, the carriers have the more strict requirements, but you have, federal and state obligations for safety and reporting, as well as you have carrier obligations for things you have to do.
Is there a big mistake or oversight that you see contractors making in regards to either the technology of or the implementation of workers' comp?
Well, they go uncovered. I see. Look, certainly they have a huge resistance to adopting technology. They have the lowest technology adoption rate across all industries. So that's a big problem. Aside from that, there's undercoverage from an insurance perspective. They don't want to pay the premiums, or if we see some subs that'll fulfill the insurance requirement by binding the policy at the beginning of the project and then not paying the second premium payment.
Oh.
And so they let the policy cancel, and then they're uncovered. See that a good bit.
And then you're personally liable at that point for whatever claim may come up, right?
Well, the company that does it is liable, but the more importantly, the general contractor above that sub ends up being on the hook in a big way.
Well, dang, man, that sounds like there's a lot in there, but I appreciate it. I mean, I think if the one thing I would take from this call is I'll be looking into whatever groups are around me that might be self-insuring, see if that's a good way to save some.
Not just the rate, right? You're looking at the dividend at the end of the year. And then, pick up, like if you're in Minnesota, I'm just going to give a couple of examples. If you're in Minnesota, TBG, the Builders Group, Minnesota, absolutely. They commercial and residential construction, absolutely the best run program in Minnesota. If you're in Louisiana and you're a home builder, LHBA, Louisiana Home Builders Association, runs a great program. So it just depends on what state you're in and what trades you're in. But I mean, a good insurance program, good self-insured group can be a massive difference, because you might say that you might pay the same premium as market, but at the end of the year, you get gain sharing, you get that money, you get a dividend back to the members. It's a big deal.
Got a referral for Virginia?
Yeah, I don't. I
Oh,
haven't worked with Virginia Outfits yet.
that's my luck. Oh man. Well, hey, I sure do appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and thanks a lot for creating Smart Bits so we all had a place to go and try to download 1,000 plans a day.
Yeah, that's what actually our whole goal there was, to make it easy to get plans for subs, easy to bid. We were successful. We want to bring the same simplicity and ease of use to the workers' compensation claims and policy market, and it turns out we'll be not entirely serving construction, but very heavily serving construction risk groups, and we're excited to be able to do that. I love the industry, and certainly love technology and what it can do in general. So it's a lot of fun to be building software. It's a lot of fun to be involved in the risk management and insurance space. I appreciate being on here as well.
Man, thank you very much. We'll definitely be reaching out here when the next time we get a question about it, because this is one of those ones that it isn't a sexy topic, but it's one that can be very, very damaging if you ignore it.
100%.
Okay.
Thanks. And look, if your listeners want to find out more information on me, they can go to jamesbenham.com. jamesbenham.com is where is my personal website. So you can check it out there.
Absolutely. And jamesbenham.com. And we'll also put a link in the show notes. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Get the Intel. We'll see you next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes, and check us out at vasforconstruction.com to see how we can advance your business.